What's going on, guys? Super excited to be back for another episode. First, I want to go ahead and apologize. I told everybody that we were going to be doing this every Wednesday at 12 p.m. Uh, running three businesses and getting everything together. And actually, last week we were in the middle of a hailstorm, and I'm like, dude, the internet's acting crazy and all type of other things. So, I definitely want to be able to get all of these live streams out and to be completely transparent with you. Instead of doing a subscriber only stream, what I'm going to do over the next couple of streaming periods is I'm going to open this up to everybody because you guys all know that I'm a big advocate on giving the little guy or the little girl, people that don't really have access to this type of information, direct access as much as possible. So I'm going to extend the invitation a little bit longer to try and allow everybody that is not subscribed to get subscribed. This is a once in a lifetime opportunity. For instance, if you were to call my company for a 1 hour consultation with myself or another organic chemist, you'd be paying about $1,000 an hour. So the benefits of being able to just be subscribed and get on these live streams once a week, where we're going to answer pretty much every question that you have right there in the comment section. So definitely you'll see the chat box there on the right. Be sure to utilize that. Because if we don't get questions, then we can't answer those questions. And also, I'm just going to talk about whatever I want to talk about, which is always going to be industry related. Of course, I think we all see that cannabis legalization is becoming legal. It's going to become legal all across the continental U.S. And then I'm actually already talking with clients in South America. I'm talking with clients in the United Kingdom. I'm talking with clients in Brazil. I know that's South America, in Jamaica, in Canada, all across the world, that are kind of just eyeing the United States to kind of see what they are doing as far as terms of legalization and litigation and being able to get everything under control, taxation, blah, 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 because they're going to be going in that direction, whatever we pioneer right after that. So if you think that you are late to the party, the invitations just got sent out. You're still very early, and there's still a very good chance for you to get in and learn everything, especially if you're a new aspiring chemist. One of the other things that we're going to do is we're going to put together a step-by-step. Where do you start? Where do you start in this industry? All the way from education to filling out your permit licenses, to making sure that you source a good building, that everything is put together as far as safety infrastructure, electrical, plumbing, all of these different things. That way, you will be able to go ahead and see the entire process on how to start from where you have absolutely nothing into where you can go all the way to either becoming a consultant, becoming a laboratory technician, maybe being your own CEO, working for yourself, building your own laboratory, so on and so forth. And so for just a second, let me make sure that I do have the chat on. Let's see. Yep, I do have the chat on. Perfect. Just got from Genetic Memory Farms. Thanks for doing this. Much appreciated. You're very welcome. It's my pleasure. One of the things that happened to me when I first started out is I was very, very interested. Very, very interested in breaking into the cannabis and hemp community. Since I grew up in southern Texas, I was not able to, let's say, get into that industry completely legal. And so when I moved up here to the Pacific Northwest, I started out in Denver, Colorado, and just trying to basically beg people, anybody that I could, to help get me the information on how this was done. And while I do have an extensive background and education in organic chemistry, unfortunately, in our school systems, that did not teach me the necessary processes as it related to cannabis and hemp, because that was still technically illegal. Now, a bunch of theories and practices and theoretical applications and whatnot, those do transfer over, and that knowledge is very valuable. But as far as running actual machines, getting all of that together and learning how to perfect the process, it was, let's just say, pretty difficult to get that information. And I actually got really lucky, like extremely lucky, and I would call that blessed. as I was sitting down one day in what was called a dab lounge in Denver, Colorado, that actually enabled me to start. I was taking dabs with this gentleman who was actually building one of these machines. This was the very first closed loop extraction machine that had ever existed as it pertains to cannabis and hemp. This guy actually went on to really help develop Extraction Tech Solutions platform. Anyway, so basically I had just moved up there. I was living out of my car. I was pretty much penniless. I mean, I guess I had a couple nickels to rub together. I was actually sleeping outside of a Red Lion hotel in Denver, Colorado, and then I was waking up and then going into the hotel pretending like I had bought a reservation there just so I could get breakfast and lunch. And I would eat my breakfast there. I would pack some extra breakfast for the road, put it in my lunchbox, and then I would go off and try to work pouring concrete or doing anything that I could to enable me to make some capital just to try to survive. It was about this time that I found that dab lounge, and that enabled me to kind of just build a relationship with this gentleman. And this gentleman said, "Hey man, so you're I see that you're living out of your car. What if after you get off work from the concrete plant, you come up here and you work for me, and basically I'll teach you everything I know. You'll clean all of my equipment, you'll help me load all of my biomass, you'll do all of my trimming, you'll do all of my solvent transfer and all of that. And in return, I can't pay you right now, but what I can do is offer you a cot in the back bedroom." It was a little 6x4 foot army cot, the same thing that they give you in the military, and at least it was warm. So this was in the winter. I was actually getting off work in the concrete plant before I got this opportunity and going to a national park, which, you know, they got the shower, so after you swim in the river, you can rinse off. And in the freezing cold, in my boxer shorts, out in the middle of, you know, the freezing cold in this park, I was using freezing cold water to wash myself. I was super upset, shaking my fist at the Lord, and just, why is this happening to me? You know, I couldn't really get into it. So anyway, this guy picked me up, and what we were able to do is, as I worked for him proficiently, I would get off work and begin working for him, and he taught me everything that there was to know about closed loop extraction. So everything containing butane, shatter, wax, how to make diamonds, right? And this was stuff, I mean, this was back in this was the Wild West days. We were actually taking shatter, wax, dabs, and things that we had made. We were putting them in a briefcase, and we were going dispensary to dispensary and selling that for cash money, and sometimes we were carrying out duffel bags of, $300,000, $400,000 and moving out to be able to, sell that. But it was the Wild West out here, man. And so I worked there, and I learned a lot. Well, that gentleman, he had some social problems with the company, and the company ended up deciding that they did not want to keep him on anymore. So they came to me and they asked me, Grim, would you be willing to take over this business? And I didn't really know too much, and I thought, man, I don't know if I can do that. So I said, you know what? Yeah, I'll run the operation. So it was a residential, but it was commercially zoned. So in the back, we actually had an extraction laboratory where we were doing a bunch of our LPG extractions. And I took over the company, basically doing that. So we basically decided that we were going to move out of Denver, Colorado, and we were going to move into Colorado Springs, Colorado, and then eventually into Portland, Oregon. So here was the time where I was like, man, there's opportunities presenting themselves. So they decided, everything kind of went past, it was just medical. It went into recreational platform to where they were starting to allow people to apply for cannabis processing and things like that. And the people that I was working for, they were multi-billionaires from Texas, right? So they had decided to go ahead and buy out this $1.7 million warehouse, and they were going to put a couple of closed loop machines in there. They were going to put some distillation equipment in there, some solvent recovery systems in there, winterization systems, and they were going to be making edibles and dab pens. So they had a board meeting and they decided that they were going to look around for an educational, a chemist or something like that, that had been doing this for a long time, somebody that they were actually looking to source from California, that would be able to carry out the laboratory management operations, source all of the equipment and all of that. Um, and you know what? I was supposed to go to the board meeting as they were looking to source this information. And I took one look at myself in the mirror in the bathroom and I decided I can be this guy. I can be this guy. I can totally be this guy. I can totally source the equipment. I can totally do these processes. I didn't know anything before I started this other than what you learn, in your educational background. But if I learned that, then I can definitely take this to the next level. So I walked in there and I told them, you know what? I'm the guy. And I gave them a PowerPoint presentation about how I would source all of their equipment, how I would engineer all of their blueprints, how I would work with the county and the state to be able to work through our marijuana processing license, how I would begin processing, how I would hire a team, what I would do to encourage and build their morale and educate them. And then I gave them projections based on how much a gram of shatter was going for, or a dab pen or a vapable, an edible was going for at the time, and projections on if they gave me control of this company to be the laboratory manager, then this is what I could assure them that we would process. And they all took one look at each other and they said, you know what? You're hired, right? So trustworthiness and loyalty, dependability got me a lot further than actual experiential knowledge did. And so from there, I took over a company that was called Manna Farms. That was what they branded themselves at the time. And I sourced all of the ethanol extraction equipment, all of your solvent recovery, all of your LPG systems. I built that entire laboratory from everything from the concrete slab all the way to the chemical engineering process of it, all by myself. Now, obviously, hiring a team of individuals that came in and helped me, and I taught myself the entire process back to front, front to back. From there, we went on and we built a laboratory in Portland, Oregon. We built another laboratory in Colorado Springs. We built another laboratory in Boulder, Colorado, and another laboratory in Denver, Colorado, and have since expanded out way past then. From there, that enabled me all of the knowledge that I needed to go on and build other companies all over the Pacific Northwest. Nature's Gold, Naked Extracts, so on and so forth, Hemp to Shelf. There's just so many companies that enabled me to call me in, because in our industry, nobody wanted to share any of the information. They all wanted to keep it enclosed, right? And so what I was able to do by teaching myself is learn all of that information, but then transparently do a complete knowledge transfer for anybody that was looking to learn this information. And this made me great money. It wasn't, 3 or 4 years after that I opened up a consulting company. That's what you know as WKU Consulting, and now travel all over the United States and all over the world, teaching people how to do pharmaceutical grade GMP extraction, post-production. And, the biggest laboratory that we built is doing 80,000 pounds of biomass a day. That's actually Columbia Biosciences out in Hermiston, Oregon, which is a little bit in the eastern area of Oregon. But actually, the nation's largest onion farmer is the person that owns that laboratory. And so being able to get in there and actually do things at a scale that were significantly unheard of in the industry at that time, that has enabled me to gather all of this information. And so now that I've made a bunch of money and continue to make a bunch of money, because let's be honest, the industry's booming. People are always going to need a consultant. I'm always problem solving. I always have SOPs as far as innovation for Delta 8, Delta 9, Delta 10, THCP, all of these different technologies that are coming out. We have the ability to catch them before they really become mainstream and teach those to others. So I think, how can I give back? What is the clear path for somebody like myself, a young individual that's, let's say, moving or relocating, picking up everything that they've got to chase a dream in the world's biggest, industrial revolution of our time? How can I help them? And this is one of the ways that we started this YouTube channel so that I can try to give back to you. So I plead you, literally, I'm sure if you're watching this or if you have watched this, you know this is not something that you can just Google and pull all of this information. It's very difficult, and all of this information is still shrouded in mystery. So utilize this time to be able to get in and ask your questions as it relates to laboratory processes and things like this, because we're an open book, man. We're looking back to being able to empower the people. And eventually we will close this off to a select few, to where you really got to be selected to be in this type of formal training that we're going to be doing as far as live streaming. And in that training, and also in some videos that we're going to be releasing to the public, some videos that we'll have coming out on the YouTube channel, we're going to be going through each step of the process on how to start from, let's say I'm packing all of my bags and I'm getting ready to move out of, let's say, where, Florida or something like that, and coming up somewhere where we can start. Where do I start? How do I learn? Where do I go? How can I apply for a job? If I'm a consultant, how can I get new leads? How can I assemble all of my equipment? What equipment is right for the job? How do I carry out an SOP? Not like a backyard dirty chemist. I mean, I've been in some crazy laboratories where it's like, this is what you guys, you see a product in the dispensary shelves and you say, man, this is a great looking piece of shatter, but you go to visit their laboratory and there's a dog running around, like everything. There's nothing GMP about it. And I guarantee you that those people, when legislation comes, are going to get shaken out completely. We need to do this professionally. We need to do this pharmaceutically, and we need to do this like we care about the products that we're putting out on the market, especially since the majority of people that are using these products, yes, are getting high, but they're ingesting them, and the majority of them for some sort of medical purpose, anxiety or something like that. So this is, what we want to be able to offer, a map or a timeline, if you will, on how you can achieve these results. Because, man, if you were around during the hemp farm bill, if you were around during that time, you guys should have seen it. The phone was going off the hook. Everybody was looking Everybody was looking for a consultant as far as what they could do to build a laboratory. Their dog, their mom's dog's baby dog was all looking to build a laboratory. They invested a bunch of capital. And I'm telling you, you think that was big? You think the CBD boom was big? Wait until all things go recreational, or at least medical, and people can start manufacturing vapables, consumables, dabbables. Bro, everybody will be pulling together capital, all of the big players, to get into this industry. And while there's always going to be equipment, there's always going to be somebody offering the new shiny tool. You know what is hard and valuable and worth its weight of gold is knowledge. Having the ability to go to any laboratory in the world and replicate a process with laser precision is going to enable you to make as much money as you want. It will free you from the system of Babylon of having to work 9 to 5 and selling your time for money, so that you can turn around and give that money back. So I encourage you. That's my spew. And I know I said a lot there, but I just wanted to tell you, like, that's what we're going to use these live streams to be able to teach. So let's see if we got some questions. Question: my background is in food science and food production, including brewing and consulting in Illinois. Do you have a suggestion for getting a foot in the industry, given that Illinois is a closed and corporate market, only a few large players? Yes, I absolutely do. Okay, so here's the number one thing that you're going to start doing, and this is one of the ways that I found a few of my very first clients, is if you get in Indeed, if you go to Indeed.com, basically you can, and don't just be stuck to Kentucky. Also, in this revolution, you'll see that a lot of the times it's going to behoove you to move somewhere else, kind of like the gold rush, right? Everybody that went into the gold rush, not all of them found gold, but the people that were selling shovels, they all made some money along the way. You see what I mean? So having knowledge, having the ability to dig that gold, quote unquote, is going to give you some leverage, if you will, in the market. So what I would do is I would get on Indeed and I would set a job search, and this is going to take you some time. You've got to dedicate about an hour a day to this. I can normally do about an hour a day of constant emailing and things like that before I start getting frustrated and I got to do something else. So you can get on and set a job alert for everybody that posts a job under cannabis technician. There are people looking for cannabis technicians. Then what you do is you build a rock solid resume based on what you learn here, but definitely do something that sets you out from the crowd that says, I can absolutely do this. And remember, confidence is key. Even if you don't know everything that there is to know, being confident that you have the ability to learn and working, like myself with the living kingdom that's going to teach you all the things that you need to learn, confidence is going to go a long way. So then as soon as you get the job alert, you just run it down for every state and then take and just copy and paste, mass email, mass respond with your resume to these people, right? And then that's going to give you some phone calls. So I actually have some real-time metrics from doing this for about a year that's going to enable you to see. I noticed that for about every 500 resumes that I submitted, I got about 25 phone calls. From every 25 phone calls, I got about 2 clients that were interested in using a consultant. Now, at the time, I was not willing to be a technician. If I was willing to be a technician again, I had already been a technician for many years, but if I was willing to be a technician again, I would have actually been able to increase that opportunity margin by a lot. But out of those 25 people, 2 people were willing to entertain some sort of consultancy. That meant that for every 2 people, you could make approximately $25,000 all the way up to $150,000 for whatever consulting that you were doing for them, right? So this might be different, $20 an hour, $50 an hour, whatever you're looking to charge and whatever you think you're worth to get in. But so for every 500 responses, you'd get about 25 people that were interested in you. And if you were a consultant of that 25, you get about 2 that were willing to make you about $150,000. Now, I don't know about you, but I can send about 100 resumes in about an hour. So in 5 hours of work, I could attain about $150,000 of revenue, and then automatically I would have to do the work that lined up with whatever consultation we were giving them. But it really, really equaled up. A lot of people, they barely make $150,000 in a year, and we were able to pivot and leverage that from making $150,000 a year to making about $150,000, every 2 or 3 months, it's huge because your overhead, especially if you're in a technician platform, this is going to be a little bit different. But also with sending mass emails, that's going to allow you to be able to see, where do I want to work? Do I want to work in a tropical place like Florida that's starting to boom? How much are they willing to pay me? Are they willing to offer any type of relocation assistance where I can uproot my family? If it is only in Kentucky, can I kind of look around and search around and just know that you are qualified? You are qualified, okay? So there's nobody that anybody can say your qualification is based on what you think your qualification is. And I know that sounds cliche. Because there is some skill sets that you need and some education that you need. But having a friend or a person in the industry like myself to be able to ask these questions to, dude, you'll know more. Just if you go through every YouTube video that is out here on our YouTube channel, you'll know more than 99% of the technicians in the industry today. You utilize all of that and put that in a resume, because I guarantee you everything that we're telling you here is the truth. Those are replicable processes. You'll find a job in no time. Now, the next thing, when you do get your foot into the industry, because you will, if they're not operating safely, leave. Never, 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 never sacrifice anything about safety, no matter how much money that they're going to pay you. You leverage your skills and your ability to make sure that CEO is operating safely. And also, in today's day and age, anything under $30 an hour, that's, I wouldn't even consider that, even as a starting technician. I see all the time these job offers for $10, $15 an hour. Now, that doesn't mean that you don't respond to that job offer. You still respond to that job offer. You just tell them that your salary, and you never have to put the pay. You just always put that my salary is negotiable. I want to talk about it. Get me online with a person that I can communicate my feelings, my attributes, and my knowledge to, and then we can discuss. Yeah, maybe they're willing to pay $15 for a technician, but I'm a technician like you've never seen before, and I'm going to charge you double that, right? So utilize that and leverage that, and the more that you learn, invest in your skills, and it doesn't have to be with WKU or with, my parent company, Seed to Shelf. It doesn't have to be with us, but just make sure that you're gaining information and knowledge and taking back and investing in learning more. So I know that was a long-winded question, but that is actually one of the ways that I utilize to get more clients. Another thing that you can utilize is LinkedIn. You can go to people on LinkedIn and you can put Cannabis CEO, and it will pull up 100 pages with about 15 entries each on all these cannabis CEOs. Then you can request to be their friend, and you can add a little note, and you can say something like, hey, I'm an aspiring chemist looking to get into the industry. I think that I would be a perfect suit for your position. And then just copy paste, copy paste, copy paste, invite, copy paste, invite, copy paste, invite, copy paste. It's a numbers game. If you talk to 100 pages with 10 people on every page, that's 1,000 people. I guarantee you at least 5 to 20 of those people are going to come and contact you with some sort of job offer. That's another way that you can build a client base. A lot of those people are going to start building. So all of these things are building, right? Taking multiple streams and being able to get yourself out there. Because right now, there's not a lot of people. You can't put in cannabis technician because Google AdWords and Facebook AdWords and everybody blocks that type of thing. So you'll have to get creative. And actually, dude, I mean, if you want, you can go to Extraction Builders Pro, or down in the comments, you can see a little thing where you can sign up for Extraction Builders Pro. And I actually have 3 full hour length videos on steps that I used personally to gain more clients and to get more jobs, right? And you can utilize those. They absolutely work. I used them for the better part of 3 years, and still sometimes I still have some of my employees utilize that exact same thing, because until something stops working, there's no reason to stop using it, right? So you just add on, and compound all of your different avenues. All right, so I hope that answered your question, sir. So awesome content. Are you looking to get into discussions on psychedelics like psilocybin, MDMA, LSD, DMT? So this was from South African Cannabis Extraction. So no, not particularly. I'm not interested in doing those psychedelics just because as of now, I'm not really interested on things that completely alter or change the mindset. Now, I don't have a complete biased opinion, LSD and things like that, because I know that microdosing has been led to show that studies on microdosing do alleviate things like PTSD for our soldiers, and I have a big heart for that. However, it's just not in my area of expertise. I could probably spend the next 10 years in this industry and still have not tapped the bottom of the iceberg that is the infinite flow of money that is to be had in this industry. So instead of kind of branching out into a bunch of different psychedelics and then kind of learning the process and being familiar with all of them, I'd rather be an expert in one singular, let's say psychedelic, which in my case would be cannabis and hemp, and becoming an expert in those molecules and those cannabinoids to where back to front to back, I could answer any question, know anything about the process, and be able to help anybody on any level. And I think that just for where I am, as a business now, as a company now, that will make millions and millions and millions of dollars. I mean, I would never have to. I'd be able to provide for my wife and kids for as long as necessary, and probably the generation after them. So as far as I'm concerned, it's not ethical for me. Am I against it? No, it's just not ethical for me. Now, Kevin B, do you have a detailed video on THCA with diamonds? Yes, dude. A gang of them. So without a vacuum, so there's an easy jar tech method that you can use. If you go and you search that, easiest ways to make cannabis diamonds and wax, that video will teach you. But however, you're going to use a vacuum oven. But also, if you're running an LPG system to make your diamonds, you're going to need a vacuum. Now, I could do a detailed video for you, like if you already had some shatter and you were looking to reprecipitate in something like propane or something like that. That's an ethical method that you could use without a vacuum, but I do not have that video out for you. Now, you can precipitate with ethanol and citric acid. I do have a video there that you can see how to make diamonds with ethanol. That is a good way. But the best way to make some diamonds, I mean huge stones, is to use a diamond miner pull everything in there and then pressurize it, not vacuum it, but pressurize it with nitrogen. But still, a vacuum is going to have to come in play because you're going to want to evacuate all of your oxygen in your system, because oxygen is a catalyst for both explosive and degradation. So we don't want to have any oxygen inside there. We always want to vacuum everything down. But a diamond miner kept at low temperatures with a residual solvent of butane in there is going to be a great way. Pressurize that with nitrogen. You're going to grow huge stones all day long. I mean, so there you go. So I've got a couple of those videos. You'll just kind of have to go through because YouTube kind of doesn't play each and every one of the videos for you. You might have to go into playlist or videos and then go through. And I know there's 100 of them. There literally is 100 videos. So you'll have to go through and look delicately for those videos. But you know, anything that we put out, we're not like those people they put out and they get a couple of views so they delete it. It just hasn't been discovered yet. So we think that it's a great opportunity for people like you to find that education. You'll be able to find those. You'll be able to find that information there. Just search through the video. And yeah, man, so I should have kept schedule. So you guys know, what is your view on companies like BioHarvest Sciences, growing trichome scaffold, and bioreactors? Yeah, an Israeli company is, you know. So I think this is great. I think this is great as far as being able to pioneer research for the industry, right? Now, I think there is a lot left out from the plant. That, I mean, cannabis and hemp is not just the buds on the plant being able to get you high. This has the ability to revolutionize the textile industry, your clothing industry. I mean, fuel, oil and gas. I mean, you can do so much with cannabis and hemp, just growing from culture in a bioreactor just to get, yes, it's probably cost effective for the company. So do I think it's good? Yes, that's a double-edged sword for me. And this is going to be mainly opinion. It depends on who you ask. But my opinion is that, yes, for research purposes, being able to get more people kind of looking into furthering the research and kind of pushing legalization, I think this is a fantastic concept. Now, on the other hand, do I see a huge pharmaceutical company that is just trying to stretch their bottom line so that they can get more money from the person while artificially growing or, you know, biosynthesizing some sort of cannabinoids in something like a bioreactor? Yeah, I think that's exactly what it is. I think it's a big company trying to cut down its bottom line so that it can get more money from the final consumer. It drops its prices. Now, do we know that everything is, well, there's going to be more research needed for that? Do we know that we get the exact same entourage effect, which is really the number one piece of research, in my opinion, my personal opinion, that's coming out on the market right now, is the entourage effect from THCM, THCB, Delta 9, Delta 8, CBN, CBG, the terpenoids, the flavonoids, all of those that are reacting together that actually have a huge medical benefit other than just smoking 99% Delta 9 THC. So is a lot of that going to be left out? Can you artificially synthesize all of that in a laboratory or grow that from culture? I really don't know. More research needs to be. They're on the very tip of the spear as far as pioneering this particular piece of research. But at the end of the day, where's the money? If you want to know the discernment, if you want to have discernment on anything that has to do with anything in Babylon or the monetary system, how it exists, especially in huge corporate companies, where's their heart at? Their treasure. Where's their treasure at? That's where their heart's at. And to me, it just looks like you're trying to drop your bottom line to be able to make this product for cheaper without really giving it to the client at a more cost-effective. However, that is how it's being marketed, is we're going to be able to make a more cost-effective medicine for the average consumer. But I think that you'll find that the price won't drop at all. So those guys, Monsanto, everybody that's getting into the genetically modified, all of that stuff, I'm good, man. It's a hard pass for me. I think that there's way more benefits to using all parts of the plant, and to do that, not to mention the soil remediation that happens from cannabis. I mean, you can plant a field of cannabis over an old minefield that's poisoned with lead, and in 3 years that field will be fertile again, and it will have reduced all of the lead in the ground. So it's a great way. It produces oxygen. All of these are great contributors to the environment, while simultaneously, we take from earth, earth takes from us, and it's a symbiotic relationship to where, let's artificially grow whatever, trichome scaffolds in a bioreactor, and just kind of lose out on all of the other benefits that the cannabis plant does. Still to this day, there is no better textile fabric as it exists in a ship sail, so resistant to salt water. There is no better fabric than a hemp fiber fabric. There's no better fabric, period. So, I think it'll revolutionize the textile industry. All of the waste that goes into concrete. You ever wonder why people used to build their huts out of stones back in the day, and you can go back 1,000 years later, and those huts are still standing. However, you have top of the line, cutting edge technology to build concrete structures 70,000 stories high or whatever it is, right? And you find that the foundations and everything, they crack, they're bloated. All of your sidewalks, they deteriorate in like 10 years, man. So there's been a concept that we're putting in what we think is cutting edge building materials, when in essence you can use hempcrete and hemp insulation, and there's no replacement for it. I mean, your house would never burn down. You could have a forest fire and everybody's house would burn down except yours. Maybe the outside would, but your bones would be good, right? But so I think they're still great to pioneer those things, and also it reduces waste given off in the environment. So I'm not an environmentalist. I'm really not. I do care about where I live because I'm on this planet and I'm breathing the air. But I think that there's more. It's more beneficial for us to grow the entire plant and utilize all of it, and everything that it can do for us, rather than just trying to get high. But all right, let's see, where are we at? We're about 35 minutes. So I think if we're out of questions, we'll go ahead and cut the live stream. So once again, we're going to be offering this for a while. I'm going to extend it probably for the next 6 live streams, to where if you're not subscribed or you're not a part of our Facebook group or something like that, where we're going to offer it to select individuals, then I'll still give you the opportunity to get into these live streams. But eventually it's going to reach a point where you want to be plugged into that community, not only because, for our Facebook group, for example, if you go to extraction training in Facebook, you can find a fan. I know people are like, boomer, we only use Twitter now. But so you can go to the Facebook group, and there's other chemists. Like every client that buys our course, or every client that buys one of our trainings, they all get added into this Facebook group. So this enables you to not only have me, but also have a community of other chemists that are actively working in the industrial sector that you can bounce ideas off. And those guys are great, man. They answer a lot of questions before you can even get to them. They share pictures and stories on how they're going, new technologies, and that's a private group. So that's something that you'd want to get into for sure. And I believe that that's all that we have. So definitely get plugged into that community so that you can make sure that over the next couple of weeks you have the ability to get in there. Guys, it's a blessing. It's a privilege. It's an honor to be able to help consult with you guys and just be there with you on your journey as you kind of grow in this industry. And I really do hope the best, and I hope all of you the best success. And I'm a big fan of being able to be there and coach you along the way. If there's anything that I can do for you, you already know, drop a comment. I pretty much respond to every comment. If I don't, it's because it's a weird comment or something like that, something that I can't even answer, like, why is your dog white or something like that. There's just some crazy things that people say there. So I don't answer that. But any other comment, any legitimate comment, I'm always answering that. You can send me an email in the form below. You'll find the Google form you can fill out. Like, we're very active. Gary here, I believe he was in the live stream. how to find him again, but he actually says thank you for Gary Kennedy. Great Zoom call. I actually just got off of a Zoom call with him trying to teach him a better replicable way to make Delta 9 and Delta 8, and making sure that he can pioneer this industry as one of the first to be in the United Kingdom market out there in the UK. So, we love being able to coach you through the success, and it's a privilege, guys. We'll see you all in the next video. Peace out.